refugees have tried to storm the Greece-Macedonia border, desperate to continue their journey into Europe. Almost 10,000 people are currently waiting at the border post near Idomeni. Macedonian authorities have closed access to the country and are only allowing 580 refugees through per day. Now, refugees are frustrated, and a group of mostly Iraqis and Syrians tried to break through the border at a nearby rail crossing. Macedonian riot police tried to control the situation by sealing the border and firing tear gas at the crowd. With an estimated 22,000 people waiting along the border, the restricted access into Macedonia has caused a serious bottleneck in Greece. Natalie Savarikis is in Athens and says Greece doesn't want to be isolated in solving this crisis.
Scenes of anger, scenes of chaos, a protest from thousands of people up at the border at Idomeni, once a bucolic village. Now thousands of people, migrants, refugees, hoping to cross the border. But of course, at the moment, this is all but possible because of a cap on the arrivals allowed into Austria. So all the Balkan states have essentially put a stop at the border, not allowing these migrants to pass. Greece and its administration is feeling all the more insecure and panicked because it sees the bottleneck situation materializing, looking at Germany, looking at other European states for some sort of solution. At the moment, they have moved all these migrants and refugees into former military bases, trying to give them shelter, but the situation becoming all the more desperate as over 112,000 refugees and migrants have made the crossing in the first 2 months of 2016, and Greece is feeling all the more isolated in Europe as it feels it needs to deal with the situation on its own.
Well, joining us now from Skopje, the capital of Macedonia, is Sinisa Yakov Marusic. Sinisa Yakov, good to speak to you today. So Macedonia has implemented a cap of 580 people per week. Do you think, with the situation we're seeing today at the border, that quota will be able to stay so low?
Well, at the moment, Macedonia certainly appears to implement this quota, and the problem is not only that Macedonia is feeling pressure on its southern border with Greece, where up to 7,000 people are stranded on the neutral soil. Also, the pressure is high at its southern border, its northern border with Serbia, where still up to 1,000 people remain stranded, not being able to continue further north to Serbia and to their desired destinations. So at the moment, Macedonian authorities are not saying anything that indicates that they will change their mind about the cap. The police and the army is deployed at the southern border, where people have been trying to break these barbed wire fence, and barge into Macedonian soil. So this is a problem at the moment.
And Sinisa Yakov, have you heard any response from the Macedonian government about the actual situation today? We've seen some very violent, angry scenes and tear gas being fired.
As the situation developed, the authorities have not been very quick to respond, at least publicly. We see the deployment of police or special police units on the ground. So I presume that they will try to prevent this wave of unsatisfied refugees and asylum seekers to barge into Macedonian territory. At the moment, no reaction from the authorities, no indication on whether they will try to change their mind or let go in. Macedonia basically doesn't want to become a waiting point, waiting camp for migrants and refugees. They have clearly said, and I think that will remain at this point, at this stand.
Well, Sinisa Yakov there from Skopje, thank you very much for joining us. Well, Caroline Hager is a Red Cross spokeswoman and joins us now from near Kevala, the camp on the Greek border with Macedonia, with more on this current ongoing situation. Good to speak to you today, Carolina. We've seen pictures of chaos, riots and tear gas being fired. What's your understanding of the situation there at Idomeni?
Well, we actually were there some hours ago, or a couple of hours ago. which is when people started actually moving towards the border. There were maybe 1,000 of them moving towards the border, of altogether 7,000 now waiting at the border. We did not see a lot of violence or anything. We did hear that what we expected were smoke grenades were being fired, but no panic or so on. And then at that moment we had to leave, so we are not really aware of what's been happening ever since.
And Caroline, as you say, you've been there at the border, and just give us an idea of how many people are there, how the camp is being run. There were reports earlier in the week that the camp was overrun and there wasn't enough facilities to look after the people who were there waiting to cross into Macedonia.
Yes, the situation is very difficult here. We're having maybe around over 10,000 people now waiting up here in northern Greece, some 7,000 in Idomeni, which was actually for 1,500 people. There hasn't been even enough tents for everybody, so some have had to sleep outside, and 3-hour queues for food and so on. Of course, the Red Cross and everybody else are trying their best to do it, but we're receiving more and more people all the time. So now the Greek government, the army, has built some new camps here. I'm standing in one of those, which now houses people who are coming from Athens. So the situation is not looking good at all.
And Caroline, just explain to us the makeup of the people there at this camp. Where have they come from? How long have they been there? Have they had to survive the winter there at the border?
No, basically, for me, most of these people are probably from Syria. The most I've spoken to are all almost from Syria, some Iraqis. We see maybe 40% children. We see elderly people. We see people in wheelchairs, but so many children and large families at the moment. And actually, I mean, many have been waiting at the border now for 10 days. Not the whole winter, thankfully, but the situation is not easy because the weather is still getting fairly cold during the night, and with all these people in substandard conditions, it's not good.
Absolutely. Well, Caroline, we have to leave it there, but thank you so much for joining us.
Okay, thank you.